Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a lovely day and happy early Thanksgiving. Well, at least if you're in the US. I learned recently that, and by recently, probably the beginning of this month, maybe the end of October, that other countries have a Thanksgiving. That is, I'm admitting ignorance because I did not know that. It makes sense. Like once you sit and think about it, it makes sense. It's just not something I guess I ever thought to look into. I don't know. I don't know. But I thought that was kind of cool. My family doesn't really celebrate Thanksgiving in a big way. I don't know if that's just me. Like we have a dinner, but I think that's more so just because we're taking advantage of the fact that everyone's off work. And it's not even my full family. So I end up going to my parents' house the morning of. I watch the parade with my mom. I help her cook. And by help her cook, I mean I clean, take the trash out, and do like whatever she asked me to do. I don't actually cook because it causes me great stress. Anyway, I don't think it's fun at all to do anything in the kitchen. And that's just me. But so I'll help her, and then my dad will come home with my younger brother who still lives at home, and we'll have dinner. I do have a middle brother that might show up, maybe. Attendance isn't mandatory, so I have no idea. And then my eldest sibling does not come usually. You never know though. I mean, things change. So that's just kind of my family dynamic. So we just have a really casual meal, and then I go home, I take a nap, and that's the end of Thanksgiving. But hopefully you guys have some plans, some fun plans. Feel free to let me know what they are. I always think it's fun to hear what other people's traditions are on different holidays and stuff like that. So as I blab through the beginning of this is a cabin. I did build it in Granite Falls, but it's not going to be a rental lot. It's going to be residential on the gallery. I think I'm going to place it in Newcrest. So if you're in Newcrest, that strip to the right that has just unit, or not unit, lot after lot after lot. It looks like just they're all in a straight row. They're not like in a little boxy setup. Words. But I'm gonna place it over there because there's like a nature trail behind a couple of those. So that's my plan, Stan. And I did decide to do a cabin. I felt inspired. I've seen a few of these floating around, and I wanted to jump in. For those of you who might remember, my very first video was actually a Kentucky-inspired cabin, and this one in shape is very similar. It's a little different, obviously. I didn't want to build the exact same home, but it's pretty similar. I did not use the outdoor retreat siding. I don't really like it. I don't hate it. It looks real, right? Like it's got the log like planks, and then it's got the chinking and everything, so it looks real, but it looks flat, like there's no texture to it, and I just don't like using it. So I went for the Seasons one instead. And if you're wondering what that word was I just said, it was chinking, Chinking. Looks like chin and king together. It's that white stuff or off-white stuff you see in between the pieces of wood. It's just a synthetic sealant is all it is. It's not gluing the wood together or anything like that. It just keeps moisture out. The more you know. And I learned that from my dad. No, he does not build log cabins. He just watches a lot of TV. Anyway, so as we see the exterior coming together, I did decide to go for that sort of green toned wood. It looks green to me. It's not really got a color. It's more like a stain. I don't know. I like it though. I liked that cool toned with the darker roof, and I went for a metal roof, or in my head I'm imagining it's a tin roof because who does not love a good tin roof in the rain? And as you probably saw, I did put a skylight in the back. That's actually going to be part of a bedroom as I stumble through that. And I do have it open when I'm building and when I do the screenshots, but you may want to close it. I think it does get cold up there. Like whoever ends up sleeping will probably be a little chilly, but I'm not sure. I didn't play test it. I just made sure that it was Whoa. I was messing that word up hard. Accessible is what I was trying to say. But I didn't like sleep over or pay attention to the weather. I was just like, can they get in the bed? Great. And I moved on. So forewarning there, I don't know. I've never really played in a room that's actually a roof piece. So I don't really know how that would interact with the weather systems. And now I want to try it, so that might be a thing that I do. Anyway, stand by. I'll let you know. So we're finishing up the yard here. We head to the back. You saw me give them the horseshoe thing. I added a tent just because it felt like the thing to do. I like that kind of neutral swatch with the orange door. Sparks joy for me. I give them a little lantern, a cooler, because if you're sleeping in a tent, you're probably thirsty. You might get a little hungry. And if your parents or anything like my parents, they've definitely locked you outside for the night and you cannot get back in until like 7 in the morning. So you need the essentials. I give them some vertical planters, that weird little bug box, which I don't like using because it freaks me out. And then I decided to use this little onsen. I've not used one of these yet. I keep trying to and I can never make it work. And then I decided this is my time. Now it's happening. And so I did it. And I decided on this one, it just looked a little bit more natural over the, it's like a wooden one. It kind of looks like the steamer thing, but sunken in. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. Anyway, so I threw that down. I threw in a swing set, and that's pretty much it for the backyard. It's simple, but there's still a lot of activities back there for your Sims to enjoy. And then we move on to the front porch. Now, I love the rocking chairs. I don't like the colors. The wood tones are weird. The cushions don't really make sense to me. I have a hard time using them because I don't like them that much, which makes me sad because I want to be able to use them. But I decided to overlook it, so we threw some down. I decided to go with a card table and a guitar. So the front porch is really for funsies and not so much for just relaxing, right? Like you're out there for activities. Then we jump into the bathroom here, and I was feeling inspired, honestly, to start with the bathroom, which is odd because that's not usually something I would say. It even feels weird saying it, like I'm lying or something. But I did. So I knew I wanted to go with this wood paneled wall and have the rest of it be normal. I wanted this shelf beneath the window. It's something I like doing. I also like shelves beneath mirrors. And as I'm building this, it's too high and I do lower it. My spatial awareness is tragic. I'm really bad at determining how far away or high up things are, both virtually and in real life. And I'm also really bad with the concept of time. Like I always overestimate because I don't really know how long things take me. You can try to help me. There are no tips and tricks that I haven't tried that actually work. I'm just chronically early. It is what it is. But I'm placing a toilet and a sink. Nothing in this room came from the same pack. I wanted it to kind of look like it was piecemeal together, but also nice. And yeah, I don't know. I really like this bathroom. I like the way that it turned out. And then I'm placing some fish on the wall. So this kind of brings us into kind of the backstory a little bit. So I'm thinking that it's a male sim that lives here with his adopted son, but the twist here is it's not just his son, it's also his nephew. So I'm thinking when the child sim was probably a toddler-ish, like 2, 3, his parents and his aunt, who is his uncle's wife, and his uncle is the one that married in. He's not blood related to the uncle. But they went on a trip or something together. Something tragic happened. Suddenly they both find themselves alone. Not abandoned, but just, you know how tragedy works. And the uncle decided to step in and be there for his nephew, and then eventually he legally adopted him. So that is the story. And now the kid is probably a preteen. He's probably around 11 or so. So this room is still very much so for a child, but I hope it reflects that he's kind of transitioning into an older life stage without being a teen yet. So this little nook, this is where the window or skylight is, not the window. And this is a roof piece. It's not a room, but I added an archway and that's why it's kind of blue. And this is where his little bedroom is. It kind of reminds me of Hey Arnold. I said what I said. It does. Arnold had the coolest room. And if you don't know what Hey Arnold is, you should check it out because it's a top tier show. I decided to give the kid his own bathroom. I thought maybe it wasn't originally there and his uncle built it in for him just so he could have some privacy and a space that's kind of all his own. And in a way, this kid is lucky. He has the entire attic space to himself. Like when he does become a teenager, it's going to be the coolest hangout if he redoes it. I mean, if he leaves the toys, that's up to him, but I decided to make the bathroom almost identical. I changed the shower and I changed the decorations just to show it's a little bit youthful. And then we move on to the other half, or well, other sections of the room really. So this is kind of where his dresser is. I give him a bright orange mirror. There are really bright colors up here, but it's not, you know, throwing up in your face or anything like that. And I decided to give him a little radio. I think both he and his uncle like music because his uncle has a radio as well in his room. I think maybe that's something that they bond over. I do place these curtains briefly. Well, they're shades, not curtains, but I hated the way that they looked. I love those windows from, I think they're from Get Together. I find it so difficult to put curtains on them because they're so small. It's the weirdest thing. Then I decided to give him a computer and a desk. I went for this kind of older, boxy looking computer. I feel like maybe they bought it secondhand and he fixed it up. Probably with the help of his uncle, or maybe he's just like that smart. I don't know. It's not something I could do, but I decided to give him that. Also, just to get a computer into the home. I struggle to put these or fit computer spaces in homes sometimes, especially when they're themed like this. I gave him the science station because I'm thinking he's kind of into tinkering and things like that. And then I give him the little bat stuffed animal because I think it's cute. It's, I don't know, something about it. It's just adorable. I'm thinking maybe he's in Scouts as well. I don't know if that's just because I placed a cabin or if it's just the only after school activity that's relevant. I think they have drama club too, but it didn't fit the story. And then I placed this bookshelf from, is this one Discover University, I believe? So he does have 2 bookshelves and technically that little stack of books in his room. So he's set if he needs to read. But mostly I place this because it looks like it has clutter. It looks like those, you know, 3-cube organizers from IKEA or Walmart or something like that. And I just enjoyed having it be a little bit cluttered and just show a little bit more personality in the room. I decided to leave the walls as paneling because I'm really playing into the fact that it's an attic space and probably wasn't meant to be a bedroom initially, so they've kind of turned it into one for him, and they've, you know, worked on making it homey and making it a place, you know, where he can express himself and feel safe. And so then we jump straight into the kitchen, and this is also going to be the dining room. Now, I'm not going to lie, I struggled with the kitchen the most. It took me probably 90 minutes or an hour and a half about to figure out how to lay it out and then how to decorate it because, and this was my struggle, and I was talking about this briefly with a friend of mine, and it was that, you know, in my head I wanted this to be a masculine kitchen because it's, you know, a man and his child. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, you know, I'm always saying objects don't have gender, but then I'm like, okay, but this is a masculine kitchen. Well, then I just genderized it. But I don't know how to describe this style. So that's something I struggled with. And I immediately leaned into, well, it's got to be darker wood tones because it's a man. I don't know. I don't like that train of thought that I had because it says who, you know what I mean? So I need to do some self-reflecting there, but it did take me a while to get through the kitchen because I was kind of having some conflicting thoughts, but I came up with some pretty cool things. So I did mix the Island Living countertops with the base game industrial ones. I took that shelf that we got with Cottage Living and merged it into the cabinet just to kind of get rid of the top portion. It's rounded, which didn't fit. And it's got like the flower and thing on it. I think it's a succulent actually. I didn't want it because it had a heart on the jar and it was too cutesy for the room. So I merged it up because I wanted the utensils and the cutting board, and I really liked how that looked. I gave him a little coffee pot with those jars that came with the Country Kitchen kit. And I'm imagining they're like protein powder and not really coffee or anything like that. And then I just add some basic clutter. So you saw that I placed the box of junk, I think is what it's called, with some mail underneath it, thinking, oh, he's carried this out of his car. He's just not put it away yet. He's got unopened mail. On top of the fridge, he's got some, lighter fluid and things like that for the backyard. And then there's just some, you know, clutter. I couldn't think of a better word. There's cookbooks. There's an open box of cereal because there's a kid living here. He's probably not too diligent about making sure everything is put away. And that's really it for the kitchen. It's simple. It took me forever, but once I got it done, I really, really liked the result. Then we head into the master bedroom, and this room is pretty simple, but it ends up being not my favorite. The kids' room is my favorite, but it ends up being like a pleasant surprise, I guess I should say. And I think I got a lot of personality in here. Of course, I'm saying that because I know the sim that's in here and you guys don't. But like, I imagine he hung up his adoption certificate. He's got maybe a diploma or something. And, he's just got all these things on the wall that just kind of remind him of what he loves. So he loves to fish. He loves his job. He loves his kid. I don't know. This room kind of made me a little bit weepy, but I think at this point I was invested in the story. And so I'm just placing some more clutter items just to make it a little bit more personal. So we've got some used clothes, a robe. I do throw a picture on the wardrobe. I think it's a family photo. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's simple, but it's jam-packed with personality. Then we head into the living space. So I threw that fireplace up against the wall. I'm imagining it's just for heat. And then I used the retail counter as would it be a console table technically? TV stand? I don't know. I used it for that though, and I did add some clutter. So we do have that gaming console, which is a console. Some magazines. I think I added tissue box, I can see there. And just some other clutter because I don't know about you guys, but my TV stand is cluttered. It's relevant, like it's, games and movies and controllers and stuff like that. But it's kind of all over the place because it's just hard to organize stuff like that. But I really liked how this tied into the industrial cabinets that were used in the kitchen. It sparked joy for me. It was just one of those things I really, really liked. I like cohesive details like that when I can remember to throw them in. I used a coffee table from Outdoor Retreat, and I used a bunch of those lamps that kind of look like they're carved out of trees. I don't usually repeat things like that to that degree, but that was intentional. I liked the aesthetic. Then I throw up a chalkboard. I imagine that they maybe play video games together and they're keeping like a count of who's winning each match or something like that. That feels like a little fun thing. And then I struggled with what to do back here. At first I thought a fish tank, and I was like, well, that's kind of cruel because he's got mounted fish everywhere. So I went with a standing piano, and I actually used the cottage living tables rather than the ones from Cats and Dogs, and I kind of like this layout a little bit better. I tried to add that as a music stand as well, what you just saw me doing, and I decided it looked weird, so I decided to go with a notebook. Maybe he's making notes or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to leave you guys here, though, to enjoy the rest of the build and the screenshots. As always, feel free to leave a like or a comment letting me know what you think. You can also subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. I will be posting the screenshots on Instagram as per usual if you want to hop over there and check those out. I will see you on Wednesday with my next video, and in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week, and happy Thanksgiving. Bye, guys.
Arizona garden, stucco in the heat. Let me take you dancing. Let me get you on your feet. Arizona garden with my little cactus flower. Let the day slip away in the golden hour. We've got nothing but time and music, and a sweet cold drink in the heat. Oh, I'll be beside you every step of the way, right here beside you every step of the way. bed. Holding you heals me, but loving you hurts my head. Oh, Arizona gardens in the afternoon. No matter what happens, it's me and you, baby. Nothing but time and you.